Hello. Normally, I do Hobby Lobby hauls, Dollar Tree hauls, shopping hauls, and maybe arts and crafts. That wasn't necessarily how I wanted my YouTube channel to go along, but there it was. It was low lying fruit. I didn't have to make a whole lot of effort because it was stuff I was doing anyway. But as of late, I've watched a whole lot of videos come into my feed with the algorithm showing relationship stuff, and they always do that. But I've noticed a lot have been coming in with people who've been married 20 years or so and they're divorced. Well, I've been married going on this summer, it'll be 23 years. And just a month ago, February, 25 years of knowing my husband. We dated for 2 years before we got married, and we've been married going on 23 years. We are not divorced. As one of my coworkers likes to say, he'd have to kill me. First, he'd have to kill me because we've been married for so long. It's just like I would get everything. So, anyway, I know probably one of the questions a lot of people would ask is, how did you make it? How have you all made it that far? Well, you'll only hear my story because my husband is not going to do social media. I just got him into watching shorts and looking at YouTube. So he's not going to come on. I don't, he may change his mind at some point, but he's not. He, um, He's not on Facebook, so you won't find him on Facebook. Even if you were to look at my Facebook page, you're not going to see him. If you see him, you'll see a profile or the back of him, but you're not going to see him. And the picture that you see of me hugging a man, it's not my husband. It's now Senator Warnock. But at the time, he was a pastor. He was working with Jennifer Holliday on an album that they had done together. So, my name's Catherine Craig. And as you know, I've, like I said, been married going on 23 years. And I can remember back when I was a younger girl, unmarried, single, ready to mingle. If y'all looking at what's going on, this, just to say real quick, was my salon down in the basement of my house. I had it put in, and well, now you see I got the grays, so I have allergies, so I can't do hair or get mine done in that way. So now it's been converted to a sewing and craft room. Um, that's what I studied when I attended college at the University of Alabama. Not only studied, I graduated. So moved around, was young, single, and free, and just moved wherever the wind blew me. And one of those floating alongs, I ended up in New Jersey and just was working and met this guy named Tyrone and was just telling him how I wanted to be married. I was at the point of almost getting into my 30s and was thinking that, okay, maybe it might be time, how they talk about with women, the biological clock and all of that stuff. So anyway, he said to me, married people want to be single, and single people want to be married. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. There was no reason to ask him any questions because he said what he said, and that was it, and it was true. I was single and wanted to be married, and basically he was telling me he was married and would like to be single. What more needed to be said? Am I married and wanting to be single? I enjoy the institution of marriage. If I had to say, I really would not want to be single at this point because I've been single. I've been single longer than I've been married because I didn't marry until I turned 32. And so, like I said, I'm just getting ready to go into my 23rd year. Questions as far as how have we managed to stay married for 23 years? Because I'm going to count it. The last time someone asked me, I was at work and I was walking out with the lady, and we were just in the elevator and started some small talk. And she had been married now just 5 years. And she was like, "Oh, wow. Well, give me some advice on how to stay married for a long time." And I simply said what I'm saying now: just don't file for divorce. She's like, nothing more. If you don't file for divorce, you're going to be married. Simple as that. Now, I'm not one of those people who say, if you want to be divorced, stay married and live separately or whatever. If that's what you want, some people do that. I know some people who've done that for years. I'm not advising anyone, but I'm just saying that's the last piece of advice I gave to someone. Because everybody's marriage is going to be different and you're going to have different agreements. I have my thoughts on what I think marriage should be like. And I can tell you truly, my husband has some thoughts on what he thinks. And we don't agree even after 23 years of marriage. Not everything, but just some things. And I'll say this: the thing that has kept me, because I'm not gonna say what my husband's opinion is in that way, because I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know him. But I'm just saying he would need to speak for himself. One thing I'm not gonna do is throw him under the bus. I'm not gonna bash him, men or anything, because everybody is the individual and every relationship is different in their way. But I think what I'll do over some videos is probably talk about some things that we've done. I know I'm flitting around, I'm watching the clock, kind of glancing at the TV and all that kind of stuff. So, my background is most of the people that I know and grew up around, my older folks, didn't really get divorced. I don't first I would have said it was economics, that they couldn't afford it. But then looking back and being older now and finding out of some people's situations, some of them just didn't do it. They just did not do it. Some of them had the money. Believe it or not, I know people who have been married over 50 years and got divorced, 30 years got divorced. And I'm like, what? But I was a younger girl. Okay, so let me tell you something. Let me tell you some background. Okay. I'm from Selma, Alabama. So that's going to explain maybe a whole lot of things that you said and you're going to hear. And you're probably already like, oh, Lord, I know. Yeah, she's going to give all this country stuff. And I'm not going to give you, per se, country stuff. I'm going to give you, yes, old-fashioned Christian viewpoints. My parents were married till my dad died. My dad died 13 years ago, about 13 and some months, because my youngest is getting ready to turn 15, so she was about 1. So, 13 and some months. My mom is still alive, and she and my dad had the 5 of us, me and my siblings and me, in their marriage, no other marriages, no other children, no outside children. It was the 5 of us. I have an oldest brother who also was a pastor. He's alive, but he retired. And not that he's old, but he's a 20 plus year veteran, and he had made some decisions and he's able to retire, and he did. And he retired from his job, and he retired from being a pastor. I have an older sister. Then I have my youngest brother. He's not younger than me. He's the youngest. And then I have, then I come in, and then I have a younger sister. We all grew up in the same home. We grew up on family land with some cousins. My grandmother, my mom's mom, lived right up the road from us. She was married to her husband for, I think she said 49 years, she told me. Because, of course, I wasn't there when they got married. And I say her husband because he wasn't my granddad. Um, he was my step grandfather, but I'm just telling you the logistics of it. Not how we lived it, but just the logistics of it. So my mom's mom had 15 children. Yes, 15. And her dad, I never can remember how many children he had. Can I say a host? That sounds like a host of angels. A host? How many is a host? A lot. He had maybe 9, maybe 10. Um, their parents, my dad, I didn't say his side. My dad's mom and dad never married either. Because I didn't say that my mom's married her husband, but she never married my granddad, my mom's dad. My dad's mom and dad, they weren't married. He was raised by his grandma, and he has a brother that shares the mom and dad with him, and then he has some other sisters that the dad had. My husband, his mom had, I think, 9 children. By the time I met him, he at least one had died. Two died, because one died right before we met, and then a sister died after we got married. It had nothing to do with us getting married or getting together. 2, 3, yeah. Oh, and then one died years later. His parents weren't married either. He says his dad had him and 2 sisters that they all share, and outside of them, his dad didn't have any other children. But him and their mom never married. They lived together, but they didn't marry. So I'm just kind of giving you some logistics of where I'm coming from, so you can kind of understand my answers better. Because depending on your background will determine answers, and you kind of need to know where a person's coming from before you can really listen to them. Maybe I can give some advice that will help people along the way. I will put my email in the description. I was trying to think, should I leave my number? I looked at somebody else's, what's her name? Dang, I can't remember her name. Something Love. She gives advice. And I checked to see it. I was like, well, how is she doing her thing? And so she leaves her email, and she leaves her phone number where you can text her. And that right at this time would not be convenient for me. I'm not going to do the second phone thing. I've done that because I have done that with some businesses and stuff before. But I'm not going to do that with now. But I do think I have some information that could help people, or if you have questions that I could maybe help you. I don't advise people to leave a spouse, because that's a decision you have to make. Because everybody has to know what they can take, what they can live with, what they can live without. I will do videos based on some things I've gone through, things some of my friends, family members have gone through, advice that I've been given, because you never know, like, how it can help you. What I want to say. I want to say a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to get down to some just major points right now. This is something that I have said, and I say to people, and I have said it to anyone who asks me, or they come across a situation and they wonder, should they get divorced? This is what I say. Look at your life, where it is now, and where it will be, like, let's say you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. What I would say is, when you get to that place in your life, do you feel that you would have regretted either being married to the person, or do you feel that you would regret that you stayed with the person? If whichever way you feel, I think that's how you should base your decision. Because in the present, when something is going on, the first thing you want to do is get divorced. You're looking for a way out. But if you have time to think about things and let some things blow over, let some clarity come into the situation, if you do that, sometimes you'll change your mind. And you don't want to, because I'm making a decision for myself, I don't want to regret anything. I try to live my life to the fullest of what I can do at that time. And I try not to live with regrets. And I actually had a friend where this came into play. And I told her, don't make this, don't do it on anything right now. I won't judge you if you stay with your husband or if you leave your husband. I'm not going to tell you to stay with your husband or leave your husband, because you're not going to come back and say that I told you what to do when you have to do it yourself. You're the person who has to be around this person, sleep with this person, eat with this person, decide how you want to live with this person. So my advice right now to anyone who needs advice right now, because somebody needs advice right now, don't make any rash decisions. Just take some time, think about it, pray about it, write it out, cry it out. Do whatever you need to get to a place where you can make a decision as to what you would do in the future. Because you're the person who stood before your pastor, the congregation, your family, in a courthouse, a priest, however you got married. You were the person who declared before the Lord and any witnesses that you're going to stay with this person through sickness, health, richer, for poor. No matter what happened, this is what you said. And of course, this is what they said too. Also, they said this to you. So it would only be the two of you who will make this decision. So at this point, I have given some advice, and another video definitely would be needed. Over 20 years of marriage, you would definitely need, to know more. So I've given you some basics, and I've given you what I think is good advice, where if I never did another video, I think it's really good advice. But there is more to be given, because my mom has given me advice. My dad has given me advice. Other people have given us advice. I've had family who've wanted us to divorce. I've had coworkers who wanted us to divorce. I've had, and you'll find some of the reasons isn't because of somebody cheating. It's just sometimes people don't want other people to be happy. So I'm not a person who thinks that marriage is difficult. It's only as difficult as people make it. And people who love you in the way that a married couple should be sometimes are the people who know how to get on your nerves the most. And so I will give techniques of maybe how to handle those things, and it may work for you and it may not. So let's just make a date to keep watching, and I'll keep talking, and maybe along the way I can help somebody. See you later. Bye.